Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Rachael Maves Podcast, and I'm Rachael Maves, your host. Today, we are talking to Coach Joe Marino. Coach Joe has spent almost a decade and a half in the classroom, on the field and mat, and consulting for schools. Coach takes his real-world in-class experiences and translates them into time-saving resources by using simple, readily available ed tech tools for all aspects of education. He is the Italian guy from Jersey who lives in Texas and works all over the USA, bringing you real-world solutions to give you back time with your family and friends. He will surely make you laugh at every turn. I know he does for our team at Parsec, which is one of the reasons why we all love him. Coach, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. And the fact that you said all over America, I love the fact that I'm dressed up fully America because I mean, I got red, white, and blue. I got the high socks on from 1980s. I'm showing my age, but the matching shorts are here too, but my legs are the size of my wrist, so we're not going to show my legs. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, to those of you who are listening, Coach Joe showed up in true coach form with a headband on and wristbands, and he is killing it this morning.
Follow me on LinkedIn. It's my headshot. Follow me on LinkedIn. It's chaos.
So, Coach, I'd love just to start like we always do with every podcast, just hearing a little bit about why did you choose this career in education, and tell us about that trajectory.
So my trajectory is really, really weird. I didn't go to college till I was in my 30s. I was coaching baseball in my 20s, and I was a mailman right out of high school. It's a whole crazy thing. I had a full boat ride to Johnson & Wales for business out of high school, fully paid. And I come from a, lower class at times, lower middle class family from Jersey. And the whole family was union mailman. And when I graduated high school in the 90s, my dad's like, hey, nobody's getting a job out of college. Nobody. You take the exam, you go right in. I became a mailman at 18 years old. And that's, so I gave up the scholarship, everything. Because, like many nationalities, I'm Italian Irish, right? But we were raised Italian in Jersey, go figure. And you do what your parents say, you do what you're supposed to. And everyone has that. In the Italian and Irish world, it was always the dad, right? Well, let me rephrase that. It was always the mom and dad, but it was always dad made the final decision. Like I know a lot in the Latino world, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but it's the grandma, right? She runs the show. My wife's family is Polish, and it was the grandfather who ran the show. So it comes to you do what you're told when you're raised, and it's a different time now. It's not really like this unless the kids of my age keep them roots going the same way. So anyway, became a mailman, did that whole thing. And when I was in my 30s, I was 33 years old. I was in the post office 15 years. At 15 years in the post office, unless you go into management, you're making the most money you can. I was still the youngest guy where I was. But I got called to coach high school ball. And in Jersey and many states, you just need 60 college credits and you could coach. But I never went to college. And a lot of people who knew me didn't know I didn't go to college because everybody thought I was going to college, blah, blah, blah. So I said, you know what? I'm going to become a teacher. And I posed the question because I was able to leave the city and go into the suburbs. Now, not because of my hard work, because my parents got divorced and married rich. I'll call it as I see it, right? And went into the suburbs. But I was raised right outside of Jersey City. And, that environment in them small towns, the town was called Kearney. Back then, all the different nationalities, all the different things. You grow up on the street, you play in the street, you just do everything. It's true 80s. So anyway, I go and I'm going to coach. I'm going to become a teacher. And there was a teacher named Mr. Pito. And this was my sophomore year in high school down in Toms River, New Jersey. Jersey Shore for all those people. Whole nother story for another day, Rachel. We could go on that tale.
That will be podcast 2.
Podcast. I could tell stories for days. Your Parsec team will tell you.
I can already tell.
So he just taught history and related it today. History was a story, right? History is one of the few things that is never going to change. Like a formula can kind of change. Not always, but kind of can, right? A formula could be a different way. But in history, this is what happened and this is when it happened. And people are like, why do I got to learn that? But when you tell the story, you tell history stories so that you don't make the same mistakes again, or you follow the pattern of good, because life is a lot about statistics. So I started teaching and coaching, and my claim to fame is I taught at the legendary East Side High from the movie Lean On Me with Morgan Freeman. That was my first job.
Oh, how fun is that?
I grew up pretty much right outside of there, so it was a pretty fun place. It was everything you see in the movie was pretty much true, except the fact now it was, it's 20 years later, 25 years later from the movie. It's one of the safest places in the entire city, and kids wanted to be there. But when kids left there, they had to go home to one of the toughest places in the country, not just in Jersey. And then I taught down in Dallas, and my goal is I wanted to give back. And people don't remember this. Now, Rachel, you're very young. You're a lot younger than me, so you're not going to understand what I'm trying to say here. Teachers today, and even back then, many teachers think they're better than the child. Okay? We're all people. Okay? And yes, we may have the final say, but we're all people. And when a kid doesn't get heard, you lose them right there, right? And we were kids once too, and we know what we did, and we know how we acted. So one of my things was to connect the kids. If I just gave consistency, accountability, and structure, I'm going to have a great relationship with them. And and the way everything's going in education today, when we were kids, Rachel, if we acted up at school, forget about it. The shoe comes flying across the room. Everything goes crazy, right? Our parents are taking everything from us. Now the parents go, why didn't you help my kid? Oh, well, he didn't show up for 3 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different world, but we're finding out why. And when you have a good relationship with a kid, and especially the schools that I taught in that were very inner city, right? And I might be the only adult they see that day, the only adult who talks to them. That's something that I wanted to give back to, right? I don't want to be the best guy in the world. I just want to help one kid learn something they didn't know 45 minutes ago when they walked into my room. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but when I say the kid, only adult, when you live in the inner city, parents are working 2-3 jobs. It's not because the parents out doing it. No, the parents try to provide you a better life. And you hear that story all the time. It takes a village to raise kids, whether it's your neighbor, your grandparents, your aunt, your uncle, your teacher, the guy down at the grocery store. It's a village. And when you grow up in the city, it's a lot easier because you're confined to a 10-block radius. Everyone knows everybody and everybody looks out. Now you're in the suburbs and nobody goes outside anymore, and they live in this cyber world. You don't really know what's going on. So what I wanted to do, I raised 5 kids of my own. I wanted to give back, and I wanted to help kids achieve something and know that there's people there that, hey, I might not always agree with you. I'm going to listen to you. Yeah. I'm going to lay it out, and you have the ultimate choice. But I got into education to help kids make a choice of where they want to be, where they want to go. And no one's saying you have to make the right choice off the bat, because sometimes making the wrong choice is fun. But that's the whole, But
it's
that's
part of the journey. It's part of the experience.
I'll never forget what my kid said to me. Let me mess up. Just let me mess up and deal with it. Yeah. But sometimes messing up could have extreme consequences, right? Yeah. But sometimes the mess up is just, hey, you learned. You learned, right? So, and just to know they have someone to talk to.
Yeah. I love that, Joe. I love the what you're highlighting too, especially right now, that piece of how do we ensure that we see and hear and build those relationships with students? Because then I think it's out of that we get to those other things that you're talking about, that consistency and accountability, because they rise to the occasion when they know that you're on their side, that you're their champion for sure.
And that's the other thing. Just because a kid or a person or an adult, and I tell this story all the time, like I go to the supermarket with my wife and she buys a coffee and she asks me if I want a coffee. I say no, because I don't want to carry the coffee. So if she then goes and goes, oh, hold my coffee. No, I'm not holding your coffee because I didn't want to carry it. Just because someone asked doesn't mean it has to be done. And in the school, it's the same thing with the kids. You stay consistent. They're like, hey, doesn't hurt to ask, because the worst thing anybody could ever tell you is no. And if the kids learn that at a young age, they're not going to flip out like my wife does because I won't hold her coffee. So,
well, Joe, I'm really excited for this next question, especially just knowing that you're traveling across the country. You're embedded within K-12 through that ed tech lens, and building relationships with leaders across that spectrum, and in your position in sales. Through that lens and all of the different organizations and districts and charters that you see and interact with, what keeps you up at night when you think about the current state of education?
Okay, two things. So I have serious health issues. That's why I don't teach anymore. I'm on the road 36 weeks a year, and my health issues are related to stress. Your listeners can hear the energy in my voice right now. I have had 3 stress-related incidents, and I'm only 50. But it's what I try to tell people is, don't worry, I'm Italian from Jersey. I'm supposed to have like 15 every other day, you know? What really keeps me up right now. So I'm dressed, as those of you who can or can't see, I'm in full Americana outfit right now. And one of the reasons I am in a full Americana outfit is because I'm Coach Joe, right? USA, mom, Coach Joe, apple pie, baseball, you know, but Americana. And in America, right, we get the privilege to learn for free every day. If a family chooses to go a different route, great. One of the things that's keeping me up at night is that a lot of education is set for one mindset. One. Not everybody learns the same. Okay. I learned by people telling me a great story. That's how I learned. And then I read it and I grabbed it. Other kids need to use their hands to learn it. All right. Other kids need to just hear, not see. Some kids need to work. Some kids need a math. It's 25 different ways. Some kids can learn in 30-kid classroom. So the big thing that's bothering me now is because everybody's shutting down and getting into a box. There's nothing wrong with learning different ways. And there's a lot of places, and this is what's keeping me up at night, is in many states, the charter world and the flex-based learning is under attack. Okay. Now, whether it's money, politics, I don't care. My whole point is not everybody learns the same. And if a school, and I'm not a test score guy, and even when I was teaching, I'm not. I mean, I know you have to have that, but not every kid's place. You have to have it, right? Can the kid read and write? You got to know if he can read and write. Does he know the basics to move on, right? But not everybody's going to go to college, because I taught kids that were full-blown ASE certified mechanics by 18 years old, who these kids knew more about an engine that I could ever, me and you combined, could ever imagine. It's just, what are you learning and what is helping you be successful? Right?
Yeah.
So
well,
that's my
and
thing.
even as you say that, I think about, how we are as adults and the dynamics that we have with adults. I'm like, if I just talk about our chief team as an example, and sorry, Babatunde, Eugene, Jamin, and Rob, I'm outing you. But when I think about all of us, and as we're processing information or brainstorming and trying to figure out what to do, we all show up and do that very differently. Like for me, I'm a verbal processor. I need to be able to talk it out loud and process my thoughts out loud. Sometimes somebody doesn't even have to say anything. I just need to be able to process it. And there are others on our team where they can go and they just work it out in their head, and then they can come back and be like, here it is, and done. So I think, how do we provide, what I'm hearing you say is, how do we provide that same space for students in all of those different modalities? And what does that mean and look like? And the layer you're bringing into that I hear you saying, is one way is through offering different school avenues, whether it's their local public school, it's flex-based charters, it's regular charters, it's completely
Exactly.
online, and embracing that. So when you think about like that context that you're talking about, what are one or two ways that you feel like would be practical application of how we could move forward in that direction?
Schools aren't a business. Schools are education. Schools are the next generation learning. And unfortunately, they're ran as a business, and they should be, right? Because you have to make sure you have money for this and that. But it's all about, to a lot of people. And again, this is all my opinion. This ain't the opinion of who I work for. This ain't the opinion of a family. This is me being in education, raising 5 kids, and visiting 39 states and on the road 36 weeks a year. This is about, hey, we're going to cancel funding because these guys don't like this. Oh, we're going to gain funding because these guys like this. No, kids need to be able to learn in, like you said, there are so many different ways to learn. So just move the money around. Now, I know it's easier said than done, and I get all that. But the thing for me is that, and the other thing is, I'll always be a teacher at heart. And Rachel, if I'm not mistaken, I did a little research on you. You were a teacher back in the day as well,
That's
right?
That's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, it never goes away. It's always there. And it's just that part of you.
So every kid that ever walked to your classroom is always going to be your kid. That's my kid. That's my kid, right? And to this day, I wake up in the middle of the night wondering if Johnny, who is now 27 years old, ate today. Right? Because he, what happened to him? When I was teaching, I couldn't sleep. One of the biggest stories that I have and that kept me up at night is I collapsed in the classroom. And this was the last time that I ever taught. I collapsed in the classroom. My wife comes in like a Jersey Shore Italian, hair out to here. When the hair's out to here and they pump up the hairspray, that means they're hyped up. Hair's out to here, kicks the doctor out of the room and says, "You're done." I'm laying in the emergency room. She says, "You're done. You got kids to worry about." And I said, "You're right. I have 500 kids to worry about." And she stopped. And that's the first time my wife's ever been speechless in her world, ever. Yeah. And I'm like, "Stace, these kids, I'm all they got. Not that they don't have parents, but when I'm in that classroom, I'm the only human that may say their name or may see them that day is those teachers. And I worry about what's happening to them all hours of the day." And those are the two things that keeps me up at night, is that a lot of kids still might not be eating, still might not have a safe home, still might have all this drama that they don't have somebody to talk to. Yeah. And then the other thing is, this school, let's just say, oh, they have him on homeschool. No, that kid needs to be around people. Let's put him in public school. Oh, this kid, he needs a little extra help. Okay, let's put him in a private alternate school, right? There's just so many different ways, but I feel everybody puts a label on the kid, and that just worries me, because when being a coach, and a teacher, you have to remember, just because somebody started it, I'm holding my hand for those of you listening, down low. Just because they started at low doesn't mean they can't get over your head, meaning they're going to grow. That doesn't mean it can't. And too many times we just look and go, "Oh, I'm done with this kid," and push to the side. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
Yeah. And I appreciate your thoughts even on what you brought up moving forward, of this. Education really is just such an interesting field where you do have these tensions. You have this, like you said, there is the reality of a business side, and there are outcomes that we should be looking at. And there's such a piece of heart and emotions and relationship and connectedness in a way that I don't think belongs in any other field. I mean, even in the health fields, when you look at doctors and nurses, there's a human connection there, but it's very different than when you're shepherding and molding and helping students through those very tender developmental years. And sometimes that you have them for years on end. So I think that you're right. There's a tension there that we have to be able to recognize, and how do we hold both of those together? And as we kind of wrap up that last question, Joe, that we're going to come into, I'd love just to hear from you then, with your lenses of what you're bringing, needing to offer additional charter space and flexibility for kids and opportunity, and then this piece about that tension of business and relationship. What other question in education are we not asking that maybe we should be?
I don't know if this is a question, but the theory we should be asking, these are kids. These are not adults. They don't know the way yet because they haven't been taught. So look, we went to school 6, 7, 8 generations, right? You you took notes, you did this, and you were held accountable. And if you didn't do it, right now it's like, oh, well, give them another chance. Structure and accountability helps things move forward. So this whole No Child Left Behind, it worked really, really well for 6, 7 generations of not having that, holding the kids accountable. Nowadays, I mean, I have 5 of my own children. And when I ask them a question that you would think is basic sometimes, my kids will tell you, they're athletes. They're not scholars. They'll be like, I think the question we need to be asking is this about you as an adult showing your power and showing, oh, look what I did? Or is this about making sure that the kids have the structure, accountability, and I'd lost for a second, but the structure and accountability to go through every day, okay? To go through every day and not question what they did wrong, rather than just being able to learn from their mistakes. And I think that's what we have to do as kids is, hey, they're not a commodity. They're human beings, and they're going to grow up pretty great. And hopefully they're going to choose the right way instead of the wrong way, but their right way and wrong way may be different. So, I mean, there's a lot I could say on it that'll go in a circle, but we just have the question we need to be asking is, why are we treating kids like a business and not treating kids as a human that are our future?
Well, on that, Joe, I just want to thank you for spending time with me today and for the opportunity to get to know you. Like I said, I've heard about you from the team over and over and over again, and it's just been a pleasure.
Is 20 minutes up already?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
See how fast that goes?
well, Rachel, people want to connect with me. I'm Coach Joe Marino. Type it in on LinkedIn. It's the only social I do. Type it in, hit enter. I pop right up. And those of you who could see me, I'm wearing this ridiculous headband in the picture. And I love to chat with people. Me and Miss Rachel here have to have another session one day because I feel Rachel wants to tell her story. So maybe I should bring her on the Burnt Out Educator podcast with Coach Joe. I think we're going to have to set that up and get her on there and let the hair down and just call as she sees it.
I would love that, Joe. Thanks for the invitation, and I'll hold you to that.
You will. And I'm sure Miss Kimberly and Miss Shea and Miss Summer will be right by, and Professor Ryan. I can't forget Professor.
That's right. Of course. Well, thank you, Joe. And everyone, as the new year dawns, we at Parsec are here to support you and your teams. We have a variety of free resources on our website built to support your mid-year LCAPs for those in California and your strategic plans, climate and culture surveys, and your budget planning for 26-27 school year. Check out what we have at parseceducation.com/resources.